And then, of course, he adds this defensive gem in the 7th inning to help out Tony Watson in relief, capping a 5-3 Pirates win. Charlie Morton on the mound for the Pirates tonight in San Diego at 10:10 p.m. Well, if you've ever seen Terry Bradshaw speak, you know he's a one-man show. Now he actually has one. It comes to the Meadows this month, but before it does, Jory Rand had an exclusive backstage pass.
Talks about that all the time.
Hope I don't know crap. Heck, when I was growing up, nobody had self-esteem, and we turned out fine.
You're a rock, Al.
We've always known Terry Bradshaw was as much an entertainer as he was a football player.
Mel Tillis and Terry Bradshaw.
And he was a versatile entertainer at that.
Here's that lonesome whippoorwill.
Well, now, Terry Bradshaw, former quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, has combined all of his talents and put them on stage for his very own one-man show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Terry Bradshaw, America's favorite dumb blonde.
And we gained exclusive access to check out his act.
I know you're all wondering what the heck I'm doing here. Well, for $1,500, I'll pretty much go anywhere.
Terry tells the story of his life. He sings.
Before I reach the end zone.
He really sings. And is basically just the Terry Bradshaw that we know and love.
Where did the idea for this come from? Did you always want to do a one-man show?
I did. It took about 3 years to put it all together. All of us with the crew, all the girl singers and everybody, we all say the worst part about being entertainers, you can see the people. You don't want to see them.
That proved rather difficult in his very first show, on a much bigger stage in front of a much bigger audience.
When you come up in a hole in Vegas,
yeah,
and there's 2,500 people out there wondering what the hell you're about to do.
Yeah.
And there's the spotlights are blinding, and you got to remember the opening, you know, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm telling you, boy, I tripped. Seriously.
The opening night, the first show.
Oh!
It was a little overwhelming?
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went 2 hours.
Wow.
So I'd go 90.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. Wow.
Did it feel like 2 hours? I
felt like a day.
This from a guy who has faced the pressure of winning 4 Super Bowls, but even those who played with him and against him saw this coming.
What you know of Terry Bradshaw, do you think a one-man show was just inevitable?
Well, he's a one-man show all the time.
You know, Terry's a funny guy. If you ever just sit around and talk to him, I mean, he'll have you in stitches.
In some senses, a little Terry goes a long way, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It really does. It really does.
Especially if you're the one man who is forever linked with Terry Bradshaw thanks to one heavenly play who happened to catch this particular performance.
So, Franco, what'd you think of the show?
I tell you what, that is vintage Terry. Crazy vintage Terry.
I was so glad to see him sitting out there. You know, I did the show for him.
But his singing, I don't know yet. You know what I mean? The singing part, I'm going to have to think about that one.
It's a rough crowd. Well, we talked to Franco afterwards, and he said the Terry you saw here was the Terry we saw off the field all the time, except he can't sing. Get him to stop singing.
Yeah, well, that's true. Everybody says that.
For the 65-year-old Bradshaw, who is recovering from recent knee surgery and an injured wrist, this can be hard work.
All great entertainers, man, sweat. Don't you see that? You got to sweat.
And you did.
Yes, I did. That's out of fear.
And perhaps the most fear-inducing part of the show has to do with a certain scene from a certain movie, Failure to Launch, starring Terry and Matthew McConaughey.
Want a cocktail, blanket, or anything? This is my naked room.
Did you expect to see him without any clothes on when you came into the show?
Well, you know, that was, we were with each other for, what, you know, 10, 11 years.
Nothing new.
So nothing new.
And of course, the audience gets to see you naked every show.
Exactly.
Franco said, I saw that for too many years.
I was watching him out there. It was pretty funny.
It just comes with the territory when you're the new, hardest working man in show business.
I'm going to go lay down.
In Cleveland, Jory Rand.
Us big-time entertainers do 2 shows.
KDKA TV Sports.
Do 2 shows.
Terry, I mean, you know, we've
Yep.
seen him on television, and of course he has such a great personality on TV, but I mean, you've seen him in private audiences, and obviously his Hall of Fame speech stands out as well. He just gets an entire room rolling around on the ground.
He does.
He's
is
a tremendous
else.
storyteller.
He is. He's very good, not only on the field, but obviously off the field as well.
Stacey Smith, one-man show coming up next, right?
We'll see.
Only when the cameras
America's
are off.
favorite news anchor.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks, Mike.